By the end of episode 2 of Lanterns, one character gets shot, one gets kidnapped, and that's not even the biggest twist that happens. Welcome back to Movies Good, Internet Bad. I'm Corey, and welcome back, Shane, the world's largest comic book hater slash world's biggest Damon Lindelof lover. Shane, episode 2 of Lanterns is here. I don't get the chance to enjoy Cape shit with you all that often, so tell me all of your thoughts after these first 2 episodes of the show.
Yeah, I mean, as a not a comic book guy at all, do not like most superhero things,
Yep.
I'm pretty interested. I mean, the superhero aspect of it is really just the premise, not necessarily what it defaults to. And
Right.
I am assuming there are lots of cameos and references that are flying right over my head,
Sure.
but they didn't really feel blatant to me. It didn't feel like they were having to resort to it. And instead, it's just a little mystery story that's happening in a small town. And Damon Lindelof is very, very good at that.
Yeah, it's the pitch was True Detective with space cops, right?
Yeah,
And
I
that's
think it works.
pretty much where we're at. And it seems so far like every week has peeled a little bit more of the onion away,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
there were a lot of folks, and part of this show is called Internet Bad. There were a lot of folks on the internet that were really, really, really upset with the way the first episode ended, with there being a what seems to be dead Hal Jordan. To those folks, I say, just wait. It's an eight
just
episode
let it play
show.
out. Yeah,
We're now that episode 2 is over, we're only a quarter of the way through. There's a lot of story left, and we'll
yeah,
see where it goes. In this video, we're going to go ahead and recap episode 2 beat by beat, and then we're going to get into what we think is going on, share some theories, because this is, being a Damon Lindelof show, similar to Lost or Watchmen or The Leftovers. The whole thing is like, what's going on, right? And everything you think is happening, it's probably the polar opposite. They
yeah.
love to subvert expectations, which I know is a dirty phrase at
Don't
this
say that
point.
word too loud.
Uh, Subvert expectations. But yeah, so there will be spoilers from here on out. So if you're leaving us because of that, sayonara, go watch it, come back and see us, like and subscribe, and let's get into this. So Shane, this episode, it was a two-parter, right? So Hal has his own arc and John has his own arc in this episode, and then they come back together. They start together and then they end together. So Hal gives John a flying lesson, ditches him, sends him off on his own to run an errand. He shows up at a public forum, is a complete pain in the ass, and then storms out. He breaks into the local morgue, digs up the dead alien bodies, and confirms that the football field's metal detector doesn't pick up metal. Instead, it picks up aliens. He talks the sheriff into taking him back out to the ranch to ask some more questions, but can't keep his mouth shut, keeps being a pain in the ass, gets a slug in the shoulder for his troubles, wakes up in the hospital where the sheriff is at his side, and she asks him point blank who Sinestro is because he can't stop saying the word Sinestro in his sleep. And then he heads back after getting discharged from a really interesting hospital that seems like it's not really functioning and it doesn't have a patient list. And then he links back up with John. John tries to fly using the ring at the beginning of the episode, but instead constructs a bird. But when he takes the ring off, the bird doesn't go away, which is pretty fascinating. He flies commercial for the second time in this series to Coast City, which is where Hal lives. Hal apparently has a mansion that he's been living in for what he says is 8 years, but it looks like he just moved in. He's got pictures of himself with Obama, George Bush, the Harry Potter cast, the Pope. There's a bunch of wild stuff in there. But main reason John's there is to retrieve the lantern because the lantern is used to charge the ring. The ring's just about out of battery. So he finds that via a pocket dimension, which if you saw James Gunn's Superman, pocket dimensions were a thing there as well. So there's some DCU continuity there. He also stashes one of the Green Lantern suits back in the bag when he's done. He feeds Earl, which is Hal's intergalactic pet. It gets kidnapped by a handful of bald folks, and for some reason, the bald guys are always the bad guys. Shane, I can't figure it out for the life of me, man.
That's true.
Um,
Makes them intimidating, I think.
the kidnappers fill him in on the concept of a manhunter, and they think that one is hiding out in Rushville in Nebraska, and they recruit John to ID this guy because they don't trust Hal, and they also casually mention that keeping that bird without the ring on is a nearly impossible feat. So they're kind of planting some seeds that John Stewart just might be the new and improved version of Hal Jordan as a Green Lantern. He gets back to town, links back up with Hal, confronts him about this, tells him the truth, and that's enough to get Hal to suit up, fly off to space prison. He comes face to face with Sinestro, asks him about Manhunters, and Sinestro says to him that if there was a Manhunter left, it would be the second biggest threat to his existence. And then he says, "Now you tell me all about John Stewart," which is a very interesting place for us to leave it. So, where do you think this is all going, my friend?
I mean, the obvious first question is who is the Manhunter? They
Right.
set this up. It could be anyone, which is a great mystery because
Yep.
it's it's a whodunit. Uh, I think the obvious red herrings are going to be the sheriff, Kelly, I
Mhm.
think is her name, and then the man's wife, Zoe, I think is her name.
Oh, the one who's
Um,
sleeping with John?
Correct. So I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
those two are the obvious red herrings. I think they're too obvious.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's going to be another character that we've met already, but is a little in the shadows. Maybe the attorney or something like that.
Okay.
Um, but also, just in general, the town is so interesting. Like the hospital doesn't have any
Hmm.
patient log. Like it was just set up there. I kind of wonder if maybe this whole thing is flipped and like this whole town is full of aliens and maybe the people that got shot were like investigating them or something. And it's like the exact opposite of what you think.
So it's a human
They had a
detector, not an
yeah,
alien
cause they
detector, huh?
right. Well, they had a sacrificial lamb who who is acting like an alien and then blows himself up kind of
Hmm.
thing,
Yeah.
um, which I think is to throw him off the scent. But I think the people that died were probably all actually humans or some form of regulatory force trying to investigate.
Hmm.
That's my guess.
Interesting. I thought the whole town is aliens thing too when I was watching it, and I
Yeah,
immediately
like
said to myself, "Wait a minute, Damon Lindelof is not that type of writer, right? Like what he shows you and what he wants you to think is probably not what the truth actually is." So
probably,
my brain
yeah,
immediately went, I don't think so. I think
yeah,
that's not it. But who knows? I'm just excited to sit back, relax, and be a fan and watch it all play out.
yeah. But just the fact that when he's driving around, like there's no one out and about in the
No
town.
one.
He has
Yep.
to find them in the little town hall meeting thing. But it's just more and more of these things going on where there's just no one living their lives normally in the town. They're all in the
Mhm.
same location. And he walks in and, everyone seems to be having this conversation about
Yeah.
him and then
Stop
they
talking
shut
about him.
up.
He's
Right.
here. Yeah.
Right. So something's afoot for
Yeah.
sure.
But that's the thing is like it could be five different things that are afoot. And I
Yeah.
love that. And I think that's great. And introducing some of these other concepts like Manhunters, bringing Sinestro in. Sinestro is a very famous Green Lantern
Okay.
villain, right? Sinestro was the main villain of the much maligned Ryan Reynolds movie
Ah,
back
okay.
in 2011 or whenever that pile of shit came out. And they're doing a lot of like little subtle DC world building, but
Yeah, like
it's
Kelly's from Gotham, which
but it's not
you know,
forced. It's
no, it's
just like
not.
little throwaway lines here, little, and they treat a lot of the stuff that's happening very casually, like it's just kind of always been there, right? It's
Yeah.
not. Sometimes these kind of shows and movies fall into the trap of everything being a massive revelation and a huge
Yeah.
reveal, and it's like, oh my god, and then it turns to this cameo. Here, they're just like, no, this is happening in this galaxy and this and that, and space prison is just a thing, and we just go to it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's really neat, and it's just cool to me because this is kind of the first foray outside of the Superman bubble for this
Yeah.
DC, right?
Yeah.
Because even like the Peacemaker show that came out after Superman has characters in it that were in Superman, and there's connective tissue to all that. This is the first thing that really kind of feels like it's outside of the Superman lane, and it's starting to really expand what this DC universe can be.
So I hate to bring this up to maybe like dock that point, but isn't the rumor that Hal Jordan or not Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner will be in this show?
Well, he's
Nathan Fillion?
absolutely in the show, yeah,
Okay.
because
So
he is a Green Lantern. But
right.
as of the first episode, at least back in the 2016 timeline, Hal Jordan's the only person who's ever done it. right? So
Right, right.
it begs the question: how did Guy Gardner get the chance to do that? Why does anybody trust him? Why does he have that haircut? Who knows? There's a million and one different questions to
Yeah.
ask there. I think Nathan Fillion was also quoted saying that I don't know how much of the show he's in, but he said that he got to throw more f bombs than he's ever thrown in his entire
Uh,
career,
yeah. They have
which
to
is
make
certainly
sure
fun.
that, it's on HBO, so they have to throw
Yeah,
F-bombs in there.
yeah. There's got to
You
be
need full frontal nudity.
one dick in the episode. Even though it was an alien dick, it wasn't a human dick. Maybe
Yeah.
that's
Well, I
how they get
mean,
around it.
maybe it is. I don't know. Well,
Well, yeah. If your theory proves true, maybe it
things
was
are
human.
not as they seem. So one thing I caught, I could have just been looking at this wrong, but I need to rewind and go look. But it looked like the coach that stands up and talks in the little thing had
Mhm.
a jacket with one logo on it, and the shirt underneath it had a different logo on it.
Oh,
So I
was
wonder
it?
if, yeah, I wonder if like the
Uh,
football game wasn't even real.
I thought
Um,
you were gonna say that it was the Friday Night Lights team
oh
logo
no,
or
but it is
something.
really awesome to see Kyle Chandler on a football field
Man,
again because I love that show so much.
so he's always been a great actor, and we've
Yeah,
always known that. But
yeah,
it seems like a lot of people are learning that for the first time by watching this show, and they are giving him some really good lines
yeah.
to
Oh,
fling
he's
around.
great. I mean,
God, he's
back to
good.
like the King Kong movie that he's really good in
Yeah.
way back
Hmm.
when.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. Yep.
but he's always been sort of a secondary actor, except for Friday Night Lights,
Friday
where
Night
he
Lights. Yeah.
really got a chance to shine there. And he won the Emmy over like John Hamm and everyone. Like, it's a murderer's row of actors if you go back and look at who he was running against. But um he is that good in that show, and he's been a delight in this one. I think he's the best part of the
Yeah.
show for sure.
Hey, if you're still watching, thank you so much. Go ahead and leave us a like and subscribe if you can.
We're still a pretty small channel, so any support you can throw our way would be greatly appreciated.
And back to the review. Oh, easily. Yeah. I think that Aaron Pierre, who's playing John Stewart, is he's good, but he's not quite on the level
He's
of Kyle Chandler yet.
he's fine in contrast. Like, his
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
character is a nice foil.
Hmm.
It's like you said, True Detective, right? Where Kyle
Exactly.
Chandler's playing the Matthew McConaughey, which is funny because they're both from Austin. And then you know, Aaron Pierre is playing the Woody Harrelson.
Right. The more straight,
Right. The straight lace, like, you
yeah.
know, will you stop saying shit like that?
Which is interesting because in the first episode, uh John is very respectful to Hal because of
Yeah.
his military upbringing, right? Because he's a
Hmm.
former Marine sniper. In this one, you can start to see some of that chip away.
Yeah.
He's like, "Man, you tossed me aside. You sent me to run and grab your stuff. Like, no, no more secrets. You tell me what's going on here now." And there's a little bit of friction there, and there was a little more in the trailers too. So I think we're going to get to some good stuff between the two of them later on.
Yeah. And it plants the good seed of like, hey, maybe he's not to be trusted. So now there's tension between the two characters, in addition to tension with the whodunit of it all.
Right. Yeah. So there's a villain somewhere about, but then there's also arguing within the good guys, and it's a very easy breezy show to watch. Like
Yeah.
it flies by. It's entertaining. When they said True Detective, I was curious if they were going to go like as completely bleak as a season of True Detective.
And they
They
didn't.
they didn't. It's a little bit
No.
more reserved than that,
Yeah.
and I think it works that way because they're letting Kyle Chandler do some pretty funny comedic stuff. So
Yeah, and like Damon Lindelof has always been that way. If you go back and
yeah.
watch like The Leftovers, season 1 is very bleak, but it's based off of a book that's also
Mhm.
very bleak. But seasons 2 and 3 are very lighthearted. As dramatic as they are, there's a lot of like, if you explain it to someone, like, I think I saw a tweet that I sent you that's like, if you explain what happens in The Leftovers to someone, they like put you on a watch
Yeah,
list
yeah, yeah.
because it's just
Like,
like
what is wrong with you,
absolutely
dude?
chaotic, crazy things that occur.
Yeah.
And Lindelof is great at that. He is a master of blending tones, and in this case, it's the tone of a kooky superhero drama
Mhm.
with like a True Detective, whodunit, Clue type of drama, and I
So,
think it works. It's
so
working for me at least.
I'm curious to ask you, as the resident comic book hater, the final scene of this episode where he goes off planet and he clearly is in, something that's very comic booky, and he goes to see a
Yeah.
comic book villain. Did that take you out of it at all, or
Not really, because they've
okay?
sort of alluded to that stuff throughout
Yeah,
the show
yeah, yeah.
already. I would assume that that's probably a minor part of what this show is, so I think it's fine. And he had a reason to go there, right? Like, he has to go get information.
Yep. I also want to ask you, because you're a fan of Lindelof and what he does. What is your prediction for which episode does the entire plot do a complete 180 and go in a direction that you didn't think it was going to?
So Lindelof, there will be two things that happen with Lindelof. One is we're going to have an episode that is totally unrelated to the rest of the show.
Hmm.
It might be Hal Jordan's like backstory episode or
Flashback
something like
episode or
that.
whatever. Yeah.
Or there's going to be an episode that's like focused on one of the characters that we've met already that's just supposed to be important.
Hmm.
And so and the internet will go ablaze because they're like, the plot didn't move, but this is Lindelof will not show you something without it meaning something.
Hmm.
Um, I'm gonna go with probably episode 6 is
Okay.
when things will really, if there is a big reveal, he usually tries to do it either in the penultimate or 2 episodes prior so that he
Okay.
has some things to, I mean, that's how the leftovers kind of worked, is
Yeah.
either 1 episode before the finale or 2, and then he leaves you with the rest of the runtime to finish out the story.
To flesh out the character arcs and everything.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it might be the same. It might be episode 6 is the Manhunter reveal
Mhm.
slash, like it'll be the Manhunter episode slash reveal of who the Manhunter is kind of thing.
As long as they don't do that in the final seconds of episode 7, which is like the Disney Plus way of doing it, and then they have to
Um,
rush through everything in the finale, I can't
I
stand when they
think it
do that.
depends because Lindelof has in the past, I'm thinking of the Leftovers season 2. I think that reveal is in episode 9 of 10.
Okay.
Um, but it has been built up to enough so that like you're hitting the climax of the season and you get the reveal. But he doesn't take a pause. The
Okay.
pause in season 2, I believe
It's like
it's
episode
4 or
4.
5.
Yeah.
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 I just don't
So
want it to be like a Cad Bane and Book of Boba Fett
correct.
situation where it's like
Or
this
like
guy
the
came out of
acolyte, or
nowhere,
it's like,
had nothing to do with the plot, and then he just dies
yes.
an episode later. That would not be good. So
Yeah, I don't think that would be great either. Unless, I don't think they do this, but unless it's a character that's relevant in the comics,
I don't
like the benefactor is some Lex Luthor or something, like, I don't know.
I don't know.
It
We'll
it would
see.
be, but I'm just, that would be the only way that they could get away with it. But
Yeah.
again,
I
I don't think they'll do that.
They did say, and when I say they, I mean Mundy, Lindlof, and Tom King, the three main writers for the show. They said that they did not get a lot of feedback or pushback on what they were doing. They were kind of just told, "Go do your thing. We trust you," which is great. And then Lindelof said, "Yeah, y'all might hate us after episode 1, but if you still hate us by the end of episode 8, then it's warranted. Go ahead and yell at us, but just sit through it and see how it goes." And I'm more than happy to do that. I've been very happy with the show.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the typical James Gunn haters on the internet that just immediately write the show off because it's James Gunn and they don't even give it a chance. Um, but I've been, as a resident hater of all things comic books, uh, if you can warm my cold, dead comic book heart, then it's a win. And for this, I've been interested in it. And I
Yeah,
know I do have some bias because The Leftovers and Lost are two of my favorite shows of all
sure.
time.
Yeah, they're very good though.
But
So it's
I'm willing to give Lindelof the benefit of the doubt until he
yeah,
steers me wrong. And I mean that in a TV show way, not a movie
not a
way,
movie
because
way. Yeah, no, no
just stay
Tomorrowland
out of
here.
Hollywood, Damon. Just stay in the TV world, please.
Yeah, I the funny thing to me about James Gunn is that in this part of the world that we're living in the middle of 2026, if something he's attached to is really good, everyone else did it. And if something he's attached to is really bad, it's all his fault.
Yeah.
That's kind of where the internet has defaulted to when it comes to James Gunn. And of course, as per the usual, the answer is somewhere in the between there.
I will say Supergirl, and we reviewed it on this channel.
They're not great.
it was a James Gunn movie. It may not say his name in the director chair, but like it looked, sounded, and felt exactly like a James Gunn movie. So that's where I think people can start to throw the blame around.
Mhm.
This does not resemble anything
No,
that James Gunn has ever done. So
no. There one other thing before we wrap this one up too, that's not story related. How refreshing is it for you to watch a comic book something that doesn't look like a pile of mud? Like, it's well
yeah,
lit. They use key
yeah,
lights. There's color. It's like, "Oh,
yeah.
thank
I
God."
will say the effects do not look great, but like I don't care. Like effects in a show like this, it's like we realize that the budget was lower than the rest, and
Yeah.
so it's
There's
whatever.
probably, like, 1, maybe 2 episodes where the entire VFX budget went,
Yeah,
and then the rest, it's all like, "Oh, there's one little green thing here or there," and,
yeah.
no one's gonna care about that kinda
Like
stuff.
when Hal was flying in this episode, I was like, that looks kind of bad, but it is what it is, and
It's 2 seconds.
it's not that type of show, so it's fine.
No, no, it's definitely not that type of show, and
There will be
I'm
enough
sure
people that will clip that and say, "Is this really what we want the DCU to be? This looks
yeah,
like garbage." And it's like,
James
okay.
Gunn sucks. 'Cause of 1 2-second
Like I don't
scene.
even like James Gunn, but like the man takes way too much heat.
Oh, well, he puts himself out there for it, which I
He
guess
does.
is
Yeah,
if you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen. But I think he's fine. He makes a ton of money, and he
he
seems to be
does.
having a lot of fun doing what he's doing.
Yeah,
So, cool, man. Well, any other thoughts on this one before we take it home?
nothing from me.
Sounds good. Well, that's going to wrap things up for this video. We would love to hear from you, our beloved listeners. Drop us a comment below and let us know how you're feeling about Lanterns. Share your theories with us. Talk about performances, the cinematography, whatever you want. We'll make sure to answer every comment that comes through. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. We got 6 more weeks of this. We're going to be reviewing it every single week. So we're going to do that. And then whatever other movies or shows strike a chord with us. We don't know what those are going to be yet, but we can definitely say that we're going to cover this show all the way through until the end. So be on the lookout for the rest of those reviews and so much more. And until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video.